Shalom, the holiday of Purim is almost here. This year it's Thursday, March 21st, beginning the night before Wednesday, March 20th. Purim is a story that occurred in the past, and it's an ongoing story that there was a man named Haman. There's always somebody like that who hates you just because you're you. Doesn't care how religious you are and if you're bearded, or if you have a hat or a kippah or none of it. He just wants to kill you because he can't stand your existence. He hates you. And as with all Hamans of history, the Haman in the story of Purim had this high time when he was muscular and famous and powerful, and the Jews were afraid of him. But like with all Hamans, he ended up on the gallows. Not us. No long-term blessing in starting up with us. So, in the Megillah, there's an interesting passage that on that night, the king could not sleep. There's a spiritual meaning to those words. You see, the Megillah is a story that indeed happened, and again, it's constantly happening, but it's also a spiritual parable, Kabbalistically. According to Kabbalah, whenever it says the king in the Megillah, or Achashverosh, which is referring to that Persian king who reigned over 127 countries, it's referring to the king of the universe. It's a story of the relationship of us and God, the Jewish people and their creator. So when it says, quote unquote, on that night the king couldn't sleep, it has a whole spiritual meaning, and it's referring to the king of all kings. So what does it mean? There's something called the night. Night is a time when you have eyes, you have ears, but they don't function. You see, spiritually, there's something called spiritual nighttime, which means that maybe your physical eyes and ears are functioning, but your spiritual eyes and ears are not functioning. Your spiritual eyes and ears means your capability of perceiving spiritual concepts, being in tune to gentle ideas, being sensitive to other people's needs, being altruistic, thinking about philosophical things, about godly things, learning Torah, learning Hasidic teachings, learning Kabbalah, whatever it is, you have a soul as a Jewish person, regardless of your education and how religious you are, you have a soul capable of those things, of comprehending and perceiving godly concepts in your heart and in your mind. And when you don't utilize those faculties, you have eyes and ears spiritually that are sleeping. When it says, on that night, the king couldn't sleep, night means that it was a time when the Jewish people were behaving like we behave at night. They were not paying attention to spiritual things. They were not using their eyes and ears to understand and see spiritual things. They were busy with their selfish needs. That's why there was a decree. And usually when we're like that towards our Creator, we have a dormant, nighttime, unlively, unmagical relationship with our Creator. He has the same attitude towards us like any spouse. And he's not actively involved with us romantically. He's also sleeping. On that night means that it was a time when the Jews were spiritually sleeping at night. Nevertheless, it says the king could not sleep. God still woke up and had active, vibrant love to the Jewish people, despite of them being in a state of sleep at that time. Why did he wake up? Because after the decree was written that the Jews should be killed, so the Jews went into survival mode and it brought out their inner feelings, and they said, even though Haman is offering us to convert to other religions, we're going to die as Jews. That made God wake up, even though they were not up until then in a good spiritual state of awakening, rather in a state of night and sleep. So remember, you have faculties in you to see and hear holy things. Make sure you're awakened constantly. You're not in sleep mode, busy only with your selfish bodily needs. Pay attention to your spiritual capabilities and potential. Utilize them. You have a good heart. Try to help people. You have a good mind. Think about spiritual things. Make a lesson in Torah with your rabbi, with your Chabad rabbi, or your friend. Teach. Utilize your capability. Think. Do good things. Another lesson is that even if you're not good and you are sleeping spiritually, if you at a certain moment have an opportunity to say, either I do this wrong thing and just do it, or I say, I'm not going to do it even though it's so painful not to do it because I want it so much. Let's say I want to eat something non-kosher, I'm starving for a certain dish, and I'm still not going to eat it, and you choose not to eat that non-kosher food just at that moment, regardless of what you did until then, at that moment you woke up and God woke up with you. Happy month of Adar and happy Purim to you. Next lesson next week before Purim.